Cheers.
To an adventure.
To an adventure. Where are we going?
Vancouver. Gonna go pick up a fuel tank.
Exciting.
Extremely exciting. Gonna learn to weld a little bit, hopefully. Make some new friends. See some old friends. My name is Matt. Follow along as I turn Duracell, the legendary ocean racing sailboat, into a comfortable cruising home.
One day we'll sail under Deception Pass Bridge on Duracell.
Yeah.
Where are we?
We're in the sticks.
Hey!
Good morning.
Hey!
How you doing?
Hi, my name is Greg. I own Adventure Marine, and we are in Maple Ridge, British Columbia, Canada. I took over the company in 2017, and we build propeller guards, motor brackets, davit systems, and aluminum fuel tanks. 2.5 years ago, I got it in my head that I wanted to start building a boat. So I started looking for YouTube channels where people were building boats. That's when I stumbled across Matt and the Duracell project. So I got super wrapped up in that. I actually ended up buying a small sailboat and doing some fiberglass work, and it was mostly everything I saw with Matt that inspired me to do that. And I mean, I'm by no means a fiberglass person, so I eventually gave up on that and decided I'll just stick with aluminum welding because that's what I do best. But I wanted to donate to the channel. I wanted to do something, and I didn't want to just I wanted to do something more special for Matt and for Yanni. And so I figured maybe I can build them a fuel tank for Duracell. And I thought that would be just a super cool thing to do. So I'm really happy that you guys have come up here and that I'm able to do this. Matt did the rough design for me, and then I finished it off. And we now have the pieces to a fuel tank that hopefully Matt's gonna learn how to weld today, and we're gonna put this tank together.
I am extremely excited because I was not expecting to get to actually help weld the tank together, and so I've never welded before in my life, and I've always wanted to learn, and so this is a real treat for me.
Yeah, grab those. So before we start welding, it's really important with aluminum that it's very clean. So unlike welding steel can be dirty and you can still weld it, works out fine. Aluminum isn't like that. It needs to be extremely clean. So acetone is the go-to cleaner for this. It's a really good solvent, it evaporates away and leaves a nice clean surface. So before we start welding, we are going to acetone all of our tank parts. Okay, so we've cleaned everything with acetone, but that doesn't mean that it's clean yet. So the rags, doesn't really matter what you use, you're gonna leave these little fibers behind. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna brush all the weld edges and just try to this is just a stainless steel brush. This is really common for welders. They're usually brass or stainless, but we're just gonna brush all these little edges, take away all those little fibers, and just make sure that everything is nice and clean. Okay. So I don't know what all this stuff is.
About in my
Right.
small spaces.
Every large fuel tank has baffles. Baffles prevent the fuel from sloshing about the entire length of the tank. For the Duracell tank, we chose to have 2 baffles. Now, there's no real big science, I think, behind it, is how many baffles you want. Like a race car would have a lot of baffles to try to keep fuel directly at the fuel pickup. For a sailboat, we just want to prevent the large volume of fuel from sloshing about inside the tank. So these are our 2 baffles, and Matt and I are going to put them in place.
Right here?
Yeah, it's going to slide down. This is our little alignment mark. So if it all goes well, it's not quite. Okay, so when we computer model everything, the computer model is absolutely perfect. And then when we send the parts out to get CNC cut, there is always the chance that something is off by a slight amount. In this case, this piece should fit perfectly inside of here, but this wall has been formed in a way that it is slightly narrower that this piece isn't going to fit. So this is actually quite common. These are real humans that are forming these things. There's cutter wear, cutter compensation, and all these little things that can affect the real fitment of a part versus the computer model. So we're going to get Matt to trim a little bit off this edge so that it fits into the tank. There are a couple different welding processes out there for welding aluminum. For the Duracell tank, we're primarily going to be using an aluminum TIG welder. TIG stands for tungsten inert gas. Today, this is a Miller Dynasty 280 that has a high frequency AC setting. So most TIG welders will do AC or DC. Some welding machines have a lot of complex options you can change. This particular model of Dynasty is quite simple. We set it to AC. And we can change the voltage, and the machine is basically going to take care of the rest of it for us. The shielding gas so all welding requires some type of shielding. For the TIG process, tungsten inert gas, the inert gas in this case is argon. So we're using a 100% argon mixture that is going to shield the weld pool while we weld, because air has a lot of different contaminants. It's not pure. It has dust particles, all kinds of other little elements in it that don't react well with the aluminum welding process. So that is the reason for the shielding gas. We're ready to start tack welding in our baffles. Now, we're not going to fully weld them yet, so all a tack weld is it's just a small little weld, and it's just to hold the pieces in place. And we're going to tack weld all the components, and then we're going to weld the tank. And the reason we do that is welding creates a lot of distortion, and you actually have to use the pieces of the tank to hold the tank in place to help prevent the distortion from the heating and the cooling of the weld process.
The baffles will keep it rigid while we weld the rest of it together.
Exactly. So the baffles are actually part of the structural integrity of the tank for the welding process as well, not just for its own structural integrity.
Gotcha. So we've got these 2 baffles tacked in, and the next thing to do is we're working on the fuel pickups. This is where the fuel is sucked out of the tank to things like the engine. We plan on a hydronic heating system, so a boiler. I'm having Greg put 3 in, so I have an extra in case we add something like a fuel transfer system in case if I add another tank in the future. The engine pickup will be the deepest, and the hydronic heat will be the most shallow, so that when we're running the heater, we won't run dry on fuel and we'll have enough to get to the next fuel station if we're in the middle of winter running the heater too long.
Before we weld our fuel pickups into the fuel fittings, we're just going to clean them up on my lathe. For those that haven't seen a lathe, lathe has different speeds. We're going to clamp the piece in the chuck. You have a variety of different tools that we can put into the lathe. For this one, I'm just going to use my regular basing tool here. There we go, all ready to be welded.
Oh, so that it's all cleaned. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, we're gonna still acetone it, but that's how we really prep that surface.
Right. And so then this will be the pickup side.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so there's so much you can do with these machines, Matt. I can cut threads on these machines, you can cut tapers.
Right. So pretty ready for welding. To install the pickup tubes in the tank, Greg has made these fittings that can accept the pickup tube and be welded into the tank. They're also threaded to accept a pipe fitting later. He used a vise to hold it together and then tacked them in place before welding around the tube, sealing them against the fitting. The pre-drilled holes were cleaned up before they were tacked in place. Awesome. Once everything on the inside of the tank was done, we started putting the rest of it together. Beautiful. The tank was built in as few pieces as possible to reduce the number of welded seams. Since the parts are all CAD drawn and cut out with a CNC machine, they fit together really well with minimal futzing.
Okay, cool.
I didn't end up welding because we decided the priority was to get the tank finished in a day, and Greg is skilled and efficient. While I didn't get to weld, I did get to help, and I learned a lot, and quite frankly had a ton of fun.
Having fun?
Too much fun.
Too much fun?
Mm-hmm.
Don't have too much fun.
It's too late, it's done. I've had too much fun.
We've got the tank welded completely. So the tank is welded now, and now we're just adding all the extra little bits that a fuel tank needs. So this is going to be our fuel fill. There's going to be a fuel vent. We're going to have a fuel sender location, and there will be a fuel return line. These three fittings here, Matt already talked about it, for the fuel pickups. And these are going to be the inspection hatches, which we don't have.
Greg had to make one more fitting for the fuel line return. He used a solid piece of aluminum rod and his very cool lathe to machine the part. He's obviously done this many times. He made it look very easy.
We're going to do some drilling. We're installing national pipe threads in the Duracell tank, and this is a 3/8 NPT, or national pipe thread tap. And one of the things with these threads that's hard to see is that they're actually tapered. So the way pipe threads work is as they thread in, they wedge themselves against the side, and that's actually what creates the seal. So when we're tapping a pipe thread, we've got to, if we go too far, the thread's gonna bottom out and not seal. If we don't go enough, you can't start the thread. So what I'm doing here is I've tapped it most of the way. I'm going to use this as my test fitting, and the goal is to get it to go in about 3 turns. And it's about a turn. So we've got to go just a little bit more. And there is our fitting. Sweet.
He welded on the last few parts, including this fitting, which will hold the fuel sender. I tried to film through the welding helmet, which protects your eyes from the bright light coming off of the arc. Time for a pressure test.
So in order to meet the marine specifications under NMMA, we pressure test this tank. So what we're going to do is we've got our gauge, and we've got our air inlet, we've plugged off everything, and we're going to raise the internal pressure to 3 psi, and then we're just going to use soapy water to look for any leaky welds. And I'm expecting 0 leaks.
Me too.
I totally thought that was going to happen.
We were able to bring it up to pressure and hold the pressure, squirt all the welds, and no leaks. So it passed. We had a really good time today building this beautiful tank. Greg has been an excellent host. We learned a lot about welding, and yeah, we're looking forward to coming back one day. So thank you very, very much. We really appreciate you helping us.
Yeah, you bet. I'm really glad I could help you guys out.
And so where can people find you?
So if you're looking for marine accessories, so we sell motor brackets, davit systems, propeller guards, aluminum fuel tanks, as well as a host of other custom fabrication things. AdventureMarine.ca, that's our Canadian website, and AdventureMarineUSA.com gets you to the US site, and we'll ship it to you anywhere in the world.
Okay, place your bets. What's away? Ooh.
What's your
my,
bet? What's
my
your
guess
bet?
is 78 pounds.
Greg?
Okay, I'm gonna go 82 and a half.
Then I'll go 80. That seems safe.
Okay.
I think we're all wrong. I think it's higher.
Oh, it's way higher.
Oh man, that's like
That's like-
that's like 13 inspectors.
We didn't film it, but before we left Canada, we met some folks we have become friends with through this channel. We saw Evan, the naval architect who's been advising me during this whole project, and we finally got to meet his lovely wife, Diane. We also got to see Maya and Aladino. Many of you know through the channel Sailing Magic Carpet. Maya made us a lovely dinner, and we got to see the progress they have made on their now beautiful Cape George cutter.
Think they'll let us back in with our fuel tank?
We'll see. It's a pretty weird thing to bring over the border. I think it'll be okay. I think they're going to be excited to see us coming back into the United States. They're going to say, welcome back, we've missed you.
Aw,
Uh-huh.
I hope so.
Where do y'all live?
Port Townsend.
What's the purpose of the trip into Canada?
See some friends and to pick up this fuel tank we had made.
You know why they only put $1 for the fuel tank?
Because he gave it to us.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the name of your YouTube channel?
The Duracell project. Yeah.
Alright. Yeah, we're gonna.
Thank you very
Thanks. Let's make a run for it. Hit the gas. Pedal to the metal. We'd probably be surrounded in 10 border control cars instantly.
Yep.
Hey, we did it.
So far, so good.
Let's hope the fuel tank fits, huh?
Yes, exactly. That's the last hurdle. So we got the tank back to the house from Canada and everything went well. So Riley's here. We're gonna carry it up to the boat, see if it fits. Got it?
Yeah.
It is, we waited. What was it, Yanni? 130 pounds?
I think so.
How you feeling? You got it? You can scoot it towards me a little bit.
Put it up.
You'll get stuck up there. Look at that. Good job. It fits really nicely. This whole project has gone so well. There are so many places it could have gone wrong, from, we were scanning this area to fit the tank in, and then the design process using CAD to draw the tank, and Greg and I were going back and forth finalizing the design. We drove up there to weld the tank together and had to bring the tank back over the border and then fit it into the boat, and it all went so well. I can't say enough good things about how great it was working with Greg and having somebody who is obviously a super professional but really fun to work with. He was just really excited to support the project. We're so lucky to have all these people, from our viewers and subscribers to Patreons to sponsors like Interlux and Total Boat, and now Greg, and we have others in the future that we're excited to tell you about. We couldn't do this project without the help from people, from all of you. And so thank you again very much to Greg. And this project, getting the tank in the boat, is not quite done, but we're over the big hump. I guess there's one more step that has to happen with this tank before we can finalize getting it installed in the boat. so. I don't know how it couldn't pass.